Howdy folks, welcome back to Boondockery. As you can see, I'm in my hot tent, and as you can hear, it's raining, which is the last bit of testing that I really wanted to do with this tent. This will be week number 4 that the tent has remained up. It has seen extreme colds, ice, snow, and now rain. Oh, forgot high winds as well. And so far, it's done absolutely fantastic. Got a few new things to show you that I got for my hot tent, and I got some experiments I want to do this weekend. Maybe some of those experiments I'll be sharing with you. Well, I got the wood stove fired up, and because of the extreme humidity and almost the complete lack of any wind whatsoever, got pretty smoky in here, so I had to open up the windows, let it air out a little bit. But the only leaking that has occurred this whole week of rain was through the stove jack. And you can probably see it right back there. I'll go ahead and zoom in. Yeah, that little area right there, maybe about 1 to 2 cups of water came in through the stove jack, and had there actually been a fire going in the wood stove, that never would have occurred, because as the raindrops hit the chimney, it would, or the stovepipe, it would sizzle and would evaporate off. And so I'm very pleased. I've looked all through the tent. There's not a single leak from a single seam. Well, it's quite comfortable in here right now. Like I said, I picked up a few new things for the hot tent, and this whole thing is for the winter months. And with that in mind, I wanted to sort of winterize a few of my items that I had, like my Ecotech inflatable air mattress or sleep pad. This is great. I love this. It does a great job throughout the year. However, this is not insulated, and the fact that I had the hot stove going in here the whole time, the fire never went out in it, and I had my 0-degree sleeping bag sort of as a mattress. I never really needed the insulation factor of this. However, when you are sleeping on cots, just like when you're sleeping in a hammock, you have that air that's underneath you that will suck the heat right out of you if you don't have some decent insulation underneath you. So I picked up a insulated sleep pad, and it is just about the exact same dimensions as my USGI cot. I also picked up a sheet to go over this. It's like a fitted sheet, just to make it a little more comfortable. And I picked up an air pump. I'm going to bring you in a little closer so you can see these things in detail. Okay, these are the items I picked up, and this was the most important thing I wanted to get was an insulated sleep pad. And this particular one, made by Climate, they sell in like their regular size, which is the same dimensions as the one I had, and it has the larger one. And I was going to go ahead and go with the smaller one, but the thing is, when you're sleeping on a cot, your sleep pad is only going to take up that center portion, and even in your sleeping bag, when your arms are off that pad and they touch the metal of the frame of the cot, then they get cold. There are cold spots. It's not so cold that it's going to, you know, freeze you, but it's just cold enough to be uncomfortable and for you to notice. So I went ahead and opted for the larger pad, and it's got an R factor of 5, and as you can see, I mean, it's not a whole lot different in dimensions as the one I have. Just a matter of fact, they're incredibly similar. This one's actually a little longer when it folds up. I've gone ahead and taken these out of everything out, set everything up, tried it out at home, make sure everything works, and everything is super comfortable. Everything worked great. But I went ahead, and because I have a little bit of a problem keeping track of my pillow that I usually will stick it up inside the sleeping bag hood, but even at that, I mean, it slides around. This is the Climate V-Sheet Luxe, and it's designed specifically to go with the Climate insulated Static V Luxe series of pads. And because it's made of like a spandex type material, it can go on either the medium size or the large size, and there's got a small pocket in there for you to put your pillow in. And as I'm setting all this stuff up, you'll see that. And then I picked up the Climate Tempest USB pump, and not because I can't blow up an air mattress. I have no problem with that whatsoever. The one thing that has been brought to my attention by a few different people is that the more that your actual breath goes inside these types of things, whether it's a pillow, it's the air mattress, whatever, is that bacteria will begin to accumulate in there. There's not really any real way that I know of to clean it out to prevent that. So I just thought, with the investment that I've made in these items, that I need to spend just a little bit more and to prolong the usefulness of my equipment. So that's why I went ahead and opted with this. I'm going to go ahead and set this stuff up, and you can see how effortless and easy it is and how well it fits on my cot. I'm going to start off by showing you the Climate Insulated Static V Luxe. And primarily the one thing I want you to really see is the valve. Now this valve is interesting in its design in that there's two pins that click into this opening, and you can actually push it down to deflate it, let all the air out, and then push it all the way down and click it into position to where you can inflate it. Now, I'm not 100% on this, because when the first attempt at using my pump, the valve that goes in this particular area sort of got stuck, and so when I was trying to pull it out after it was inflated, the whole thing came out. So I have to be very careful putting in here, because the pump really goes like you wouldn't believe, and I don't think it needs to be shoved all the way down in there, just enough to be able to get enough of the air in it. And the valve is a one-way valve, so air will go in. There's a diaphragm on the inside that prevents the air from coming out. And the little pump is pretty impressive for its size. And it comes with USB charger and one valve adapter for every inflatable valve in the Climate sleep pad line. And this is the pump. Look at the size of that. It's microscopic, teeny tiny. Air goes in here, comes out there. I'm going to go ahead and put the adapter on it and start pumping it up. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a difficult angle to video, but we'll do the best we can. I'm going to get that in there as loosely as I can. Okay, it's in there fairly loosely. I'll get up out of the way so it can do its thing. Now, listen to this. It is very, very comfortable. You know, like any inflatable air mattress, it's got this plasticky, sort of rubbery type of feel, and when your skin is touching something like this, you perspire. And so that's another one of the reasons why I purchased this fitted sheet. And it goes on just like any other fitted sheet would. And you've got this nice little area here to put your pillow in. And once this is all the way down on it, this is nice and taut, and your pillow fits right in there and doesn't move around. Got my pillow inflated. And there we go. Ready for night-night time. Now the overnight low tonight is only supposed to be 40 degrees, which will be the warmest that it has been of this past month that I've used this tent. I've been high winds, extreme cold, extreme wind chill, snow, ice. Now this whole week, you know, it's rained. It's going to rain the rest of the weekend. It's supposed to pick up a little bit more tonight. It's supposed to get a little windy. But the tent, in my humble opinion, has proven itself in the short term. And as time progresses, you know, it will prove itself one way or the other in the long term. Normally, what I've been doing, because it's been really cold, I haven't been out here once that it hasn't been below freezing. And last weekend that I came out, it was single digits, and with wind chills below zero. The day that I was out here with the high winds, the wind chills were in low single digits. And so it's been very, very cold. So what I've been doing is I've had the Ecotech sleep pad that I put down, and it's sort of narrow. So my arms go off of that, and it touches the aluminum frame of the cot, just cold enough to be annoying, just cold enough for me to not get a great night's sleep. So I've put my 0 degree sleeping bag on top of that. Two reasons, one of which it performs great as a mattress and allows my arms not to touch the frame. The other thing is, if by any chance I were to, you know, sleep through loading the stove when there's still hot coals in it, it provides me something that I can get in it if I need to beat the cold and sleep the night away, wake up next morning and restoke the fire. So on top of that 0 degree sleeping bag that I use as a mattress, I've been using my Wilderness Innovations Osni 5 ounce. The Osni is like a whoopee. It's a hooded poncho liner that you can use in a lot of different ways. I've got a video on at least one, maybe two, and you can check that out, see more about this if you're interested. But I just use it as a blanket, and with the wood stove, the heat generated by the wood stove, nice insulation underneath me, this right here was more than sufficient to keep me comfortable throughout the evening. And because I'm getting about 4 hours of burn time for a full load in this wood stove, you know, I get up once in the middle of the night to stoke it before I'm up and ready to go the next morning. So I'm getting like a decent 8 hours sleep, and only one time do I need to mess with the wood stove. And so all that combined tonight, all I'm going to do is I'm not going to put my sleeping bag down tonight. I'm going to see if this R factor of 5 on this Climate V, Static V Lux is all that it's cracked up to be. And with my luxurious fitted sheet, holding my pillow snugly in position, and my Wilderness Innovations 5-ounce Osney as my blanket. Everything works out, I'll have a fantastic night's sleep. Now, I mentioned I had a few experiments that I'm going to be working on while I'm out this weekend, and one of which involves my 3-liter billy can. Now, I'm certain every single one of you have seen multiple videos on how people use their billy cans on their twig stoves and do different modifications to turn it into a little bake oven. Well, when I first got my wood stove, I was thinking, yeah, that would be pretty cool to have, a nice little bake oven. And I've seen like Winter Well and all kinds of other companies. They produce stovepipe bake ovens for their stoves. Well, my Danchel stove, that company does not produce one, so I did a extensive search online to see if anyone makes a bake oven for a 6-centimeter stovepipe, which I have. And I found a company in Australia, and I thought the price was very reasonable. However, once you factor in the cost of shipping, it became ridiculously expensive. And so I started thinking about it, and I know that people have used the billy cans successfully for their twig stoves. I knew that I had one, and I also know that my wonderful wife purchased me everything I needed to turn this into a twig stove bake oven. But as life has its way of working, I never got around to trying it out on a twig stove. So I had all the stuff. So I started thinking about it, and this is round. My stove has a flat top, so it's going to roll. So I started thinking, well, how could I stabilize it? So I got a few ideas. And then I was thinking, well, how would I get heat to the top of my billy can to bake it in a tent? So I got a few ideas. And after I pondered all these ideas, did some sketching, and did some thinking, I think I have it figured out. I believe I have the mechanics figured out, and I believe that if, in practice, the mechanics work, and my theory of providing heat to the top works, I think I'm going to have a bake oven for my Danchel wood stove. Now, my first challenge was trying to develop a way that I could prevent my billy can from rolling around on the surface of a flat wood stove, which isn't exactly level. So I started thinking about that. Well, I needed to have some type of legs or something to support the billy can with. So what I came up with was the idea is I needed some brackets. And what I chose was this. I got this at a local hardware store. These are corner braces. And it was perfect in that it came with 4 corner braces. And I was thinking, well, I go ahead and align those here, 2 down here, 2 up here, and that would stabilize it. But how to get them to stick? How to get these things to be there all the time? So I decided I would go with pipe clamps. So I picked up a couple decent sized pipe clamps, and so I'm going to use the pipe clamps to hold the braces into position to serve as feet for my wood stove and keep it from rolling around on the surface of my wood stove. So with that, I was thinking, okay, well, how in the world am I going to do that? So what I decided to do is to use a little masking tape to hold these braces into position, and then once I have them aligned, I have them in position, I would put the pipe clamps over top of them and tighten it down. And so that's what I'm going to do. And of course, I haven't tried any of this stuff, so if it fails miserably, well, I'll just go ahead and nix the video. But if it winds up being something that works, I've got something here, something that I can use to bake on my wood stove with. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to visually align these braces, and I'm going to tape them into position. 2 up here and 2 down here. Okay, so I have my feet taped in position, and I have checked them, and they're pretty close. So if I were to do this mathematically instead of visually, it would be perfect. But this will suffice, and when this experiment is over and I feel that I need to readjust those, I can easily remove the pipe clamps and do that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put pipe clamps across these and tighten those into position. Okay, I have the pipe clamps holding the feet on. As you can see, they're beautifully aligned. Of course, this is visually done, not mathematically. And the feet are here. I just need to remove the tape. And it does rest fairly stably. A little bit of wobble, but it's not going to roll off the top of my wood stove. Now, if I put my lid on and lock it into position, it's good to go. Exactly what I need it to do. Exactly what would happen when you put it on a twig stove. Now, there is another challenge I need to address, and that is I'm going to have the heat coming up from the bottom. And yes, it will circulate a little bit in this round container. However, when you use something like this on your twig stove, you have a nice little apparatus, which I have one as well, that sits on there and it holds the coals in, so you can have heat coming from the top as well as from the bottom. I don't want to have coals sitting on top of my bake oven when it's sitting on top of my wood stove inside my tent. So I was thinking, well, I'm generating a tremendous amount of heat from the bottom. Why can't I just develop a way to where I can trap the heat that comes up above it? And so what I came up with is those aluminum baking trays, and somehow put that on here in order to trap the heat. So I went ahead and purchased a few different sizes to experiment with, but I also have something that I have to play with my wood stove, and that is the racks that fold down on either side. Those also fold up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this on top of the stove to see if it's stable, and then I am immediately going to fold those racks up, and I'm going to try placing one of those aluminum trays over top of it with those racks to see if it will fit. Okay folks, here goes nothing. There's the oven, and these should hold it in position. Would you look at that? It comes almost down to the handle. I think I've got a winner here. Now it's just a matter of putting the thermometer in there and going ahead and seeing if it will come up to temperature. And then I brought a couple little things to try to bake with. Okay, I'm going to try it for 5 minutes. I've got the thermometer on there. And we're going to see what temperature it comes up to in 5 minutes. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. We're almost 300 degrees. That's respectable. Now, my vents are completely closed at the moment, so opening the vents, I can actually increase that temperature. Now, in order to test this whole thing out, I went the complete bushcraft, wild camping, tried and true method of testing my bake oven out, and that would be Hot Pockets. That's it, Hot Pockets. I'm going to go ahead and try these and see if I can bake them in my makeshift oven. Now, this is supposed to be, excuse my light, I believe it's 350 degrees for 26 minutes. So if I can maintain 350 degrees in my oven, I'll be in good shape. I have an inner rack to lift it up off of the base and a bake pan to sit inside of it with my luxurious, opulent, gourmet Hot Pockets. Okay, let's check the temp here. We are at, it's a little over 400. I've got the vents closed completely, so we're just going to go ahead and wing it and reduce our time. Okay. That looks fairly level. Here it is, here it is. Okay. I'm going to reduce the time down to 20 minutes and we're going to see what happens. Okay folks, I put her in for 5 more minutes instead of 3. We'll see what happens. It's at, oh wow, it's way up there. So look at those. Those look like perfect Hot Pockets. Oh yeah, it's time for supper. I guess now we'll see if they stuck. Oh, oh my gosh. Look at that. They're perfect. Look at that. It's even starting to split. Hold on a second. You got to see this. That's how I used to be able to tell my pizza rolls were perfect, is when they started to split. That is the bomb, man. Oh, awesome. Okay, the proof's in the pudding, or the Hot Pocket. Since I have these nice little eat 'em up things that you can eat them out with, I'm going to go ahead and slide one of those in there so I don't burn my fingies. Oh man, that is so much better than out of the microwave, brothers and sisters. They're hot, very hot. It's in their name. Hot Pockets. This is so cool. Not that I want to bring out all kinds of pre-made factory stuff out into the woods and bake. But this opens up so many more doors. I mean, I could do a little meatloaf. I could do all kinds of things in here that I actually make. But I figured, what the hey, give it a test run, use some quick and easy stuff. That way, you know, I'm not messing up any amount of, you know, ingredients and things like that. I mean, Hot Pockets, I don't know how much it costs, a few bucks. And, you know, there's no time in preparation for this. You just like put them in the oven. So, this is pretty cool. I'm loving this. So with all this, I proved that my idea was viable. Now the next step is to see if I can improve upon it, because I went over by about 10 minutes at the time, but I was constantly having to play with the stove to make certain that the flame was producing enough heat to keep it up to temperature. So it's just a matter of getting to know the stove better, I guess, and maintaining a consistent fuel. Now I was able to procure I'll save that for another time. I'll save that another time. I'm just going to enjoy these, and I have a round 2 that I'm going to try after these, and I may or may not bring you back for them, but depends on how full I get with these. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and eat these and enjoy them. Now it has been quite some time since I had a Hot Pocket. I honestly don't know if I've ever eaten 2 Hot Pockets back to back. Woo, lordy! That's a lot of food. And so my round 2 for baking is going to have to wait for lunch tomorrow. Oh, good goobity goop, Gus. I'm telling you. Wow. I am overly full. I think I might have just this much room left. Well, I'm absolutely elated that my idea worked. Just a matter of tweaking it now, I guess. Well, I'm going to force this last bite down, and I may or may not come back. If I do, it will probably be to say goodnight, because it is way past my bedtime. It's, oh my goodness gracious, it's almost 10 o'clock. So, if I don't say goodnight to you, I'll say good morning to you. Morning, folks. Enjoying my first cup of joe. Had a fantastic night last night as far as my sleep goes. The Climate air mattress worked absolutely fantastic, super comfortable. I have slept in real beds that weren't nearly as comfortable as this. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic combo with this whole setup, or if I decide to use my Light Fighter One tent either on the ground or on a cot. This pad should fill the entire interior of it, of the floor, and I should be able to get a much better night's sleep in it than I had the previous times that I've used it. I used my Osni 5 ounce, aka Hardcore Whoopee, and as my blanket. Even when the fire died down to coals, it was probably around 50 degrees in here. Perfectly comfortable, did not get chilled at all. And of course, you know, the wall behind me with the wind and everything, you put your hand close to it, you can feel the coolness, but I didn't feel cold at all, even when my back was fairly close against the wall of the tent. So that was very positive. So testing out my new gear, it worked great. The fitted sheet for the sleep pad felt fantastic. Did not pop loose at all. My pillow stayed exactly where it was supposed to the entire night, so that worked out perfect. And that little pump, wow. That's a whole lot of power in that tiny little thing. So I was pleased about that. It won't take up any room whatsoever. Matter of fact, this whole combo, minus the cot, I mean, it's very small and compact. And the weight, it's just a few ounces more than what I usually take out. So, good investment, I believe. Now, I was really excited about how well the Billy Can bake oven worked on my tent stove. Very excited about that. And so that experiment was a success. And I'm going to be doing round 2 this morning, and I got something special to bake in it, and we'll see how that turns out, because I mean, first time could always be a fluke. So you have to test it time and time again to prove that yes, it does what it's supposed to do. Also, it's going to take a little bit of time and experimentation using the wood. I noticed that the optimum baking moments or time periods with the tent stove was when pretty much all that firewood had turned to coals. And that's when we were getting the best amount of heat out of that. And the temperature was going up, and consistently so. And when the firewood was in there and it was burning, it burns inconsistently, so you had spikes of temperature, then it would die down a little bit. So when I do round 2 today, I'm going to make certain that the firewood burns down to mostly coals, and then try the next round there. And so it's all going to be a matter of learning all the different variables to all the different components to really get the hang of this. But I'm going to enjoy the process of doing that. I'm going to go ahead and pick things up, tidy things up a little bit, get things ready for round 2. And right now the coals are getting pretty low, so I'm going to have to load it up again, wait for that to die down before I actually do the next round of baking. I'll see you in a few. Okay, I'm ready for Billy Can Baking Round 2. This is going to be awesome. Franks in a blanket, aka pigs in a blanket. I was going through the freezer to see what kind of frozen type things that we would bake could possibly be found in our freezer. We had these left over from the holidays. There's just a few left in there. So I figured, yeah, that'll be perfect. That'll be fun. And also, I happen to love pigs in blankets. Time to preheat the oven. While the oven is preheating, we'll go ahead and get these things in the tray. Aren't those adorable? Now, here we need to have the oven preheated to 400 degrees and bake for 16 to 20 minutes. Look at all of them. Look at them. Now, these are thawed, so it's not going to take as much time for them to bake as they would have if they were frozen. Well, we'll see if we can get all of them on there. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's a little odd. We'll make it work. Excellent. Now, just as soon as the oven comes up to temperature, we'll pop them in there. Get those little piggies in there. Nope. Okay, I've left these in considerably longer than I anticipated, and I think that what the issue is there's not the ability for steam to escape the billy can. So it's not browning like I wanted it to, but this looks pretty good to me. I'm going to call these done and have myself some breakfast hors d'oeuvres. Your oven at home has a vent that allows moisture to escape, and that allows any pastry type things that you're doing to get browned. And even if you're doing like frozen French fries or onion rings, things like that, that escape of the moisture allows it to brown. Now, these got fairly brown on the bottom, and they're really hot, but not so much on top. There's a lot of moisture in these little franks, and So when I opened it up, each time I opened up, steam escaped. And so that's the reason why the top didn't get browned. And the Hot Pockets I had last night, they are pretty much, you know, self-contained in the pastry, so that moisture gets trapped in there, and they were able to brown much better than my little piggies in the blankie. A little bit of sticking, not too bad, but I'll get a little bit of that pastry crunch because of that, which will be nice and satisfying. Let's go ahead and try one of these. Outstanding. That little bit of brown on the bottom adds that nice little pastry crunch to it, and very nice. So I would consider that another success, in that I learned as to why the pastry didn't brown, and I have lovely hors d'oeuvres for my breakfast. I'm pleased. Folks, I love it when a plan comes together. This idea has been stewing around in there for a good little while, and putting it all together, putting it to the test, seeing how it performs, I'm absolutely delighted with this. The one nice thing about doing this is, you know, opens up a lot of recreational type of cooking options. I want to talk about this. This idea has been bouncing around in my head for a little while, and so I have probably put this thing together in multiple different ways numerous times in my mind, and having the opportunity to be able to come out, put it all together, put it to the test, use it, and I feel it turned out to be a success, is quite gratifying. And I had a lot of fun doing this. Hopefully you enjoyed watching the video, and maybe got some ideas of some ways that you might be able to do something similar. Now, one of the things that I like about this possible configuration, and granted it needs some tweaks, I need to probably shorten these bands a little bit, at least on the bottom, is that apart from the thermometer, which you can easily remove, it's still a billy pot. It's still completely usable as a billy pot. As a matter of fact, you can very easily put this on your twig stove and use it just like before. You could probably do it the other way too, depending on what the dimensions of the sides of your billy can are, or the dimensions of your twig stove. So you can still use this in every single way that you can normally use your billy pot, and you don't have to take it apart. And as far as its construction goes, it doesn't add to the dimensions significantly, so it's not going to take up a whole lot more room in your pack, and I'm just very, very pleased. One of the nice things I like about kit that puts that piece of kit over anything else like it is if it's multi-purpose. If I have anything that can serve multiple purposes, you know, that just enhances its usefulness to me. And a billy can, oh my gosh, just a billy can alone, there's like all kinds of uses for it, especially a large one like this. This is a 3-liter, and but you can cook in it, you can dig with it if you had to, you can haul water with it, you can sanitize water in it, you can, you know, cook soups, you can do all kinds of stuff in it. And the little steamer tray that's in it, I mean, you can use that for multiple things too. But now, apart from just standard cooking and all of the other wonderful things you can do with the billy pot, now I can actually bake with it on my tent stove. Well, folks, I had a really great time. I really appreciate you joining me. I've been loving the comments of the videos the past couple weeks, and really enjoy interacting with you, and I appreciate you. I appreciate that you are willing to give me some of the valuable time of your day. And I hope I don't squander that time for you. I know I get very wordy sometimes, and that's just me. And but by you sticking around, you giving me your support, you watching the videos, you liking, you commenting, you sharing, you do all these things for me, I deeply appreciate it. And I think that you appreciate what I do. Sometimes I'm certain I get on your nerves, but you still stick with me. And that's what friends do. And I appreciate it. Well, folks, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.